with, I'm sorry, where am I today? Oh my gosh, with the Division of Property Management. Thank you. And I believe we have our analyst, Mark, is with us only by sound, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, Mark, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. The proposed FY 2021 budget for the Office of Budget and Finance, Property Management Division, totals $37.6 million, which is an increase of $1.1 million, or 3.1%. This increase is primarily due to the personnel expenses and building maintenance costs, but it's offset by decreases in utilities. This analysis identifies 5 potential operating budget reductions ranging from $150,000 to $3.7 million. In your packet, you will see that each potential reduction is identified as either a normal economy or a pandemic economy reduction. The first and second normal economy reductions shown on page 7 are the types of reductions our office would likely to identify under normal economic situations and relate to the division's spending history. These reductions are less important to discuss now that we are in the pandemic economy. The remaining reductions, also starting on page 7, relate to new pandemic economies that we have entered. These explore how various actions might affect the division, and the purpose of presenting them is to give the director an opportunity to discuss the operational impacts of large-scale fund changes so that the possible staffing and service level effects of lost revenues can be understood by all. Other discussion issues follow in the budget package beginning on page 9, which address the following: personnel, buildings and grounds maintenance, utilities for county-owned facilities, service contracts, and COVID-19. At this time, I'd like to turn over for discussion.
Thank you very much. I believe, Mr. Blades, do you have comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I do. And members of the council, thank you for this opportunity to discuss the FY21 operating budget, property management. Certainly wish this is under better conditions. But when taking over as budget director a year ago, I found a new appreciation for the magnitude of services provided to the county residents and county employees by the Office of Budget and Finance. Not only does OBF include property management, it includes the center, vehicle operations and maintenance, purchasing, payroll, health insurance, and other insurances, retirement, debt service, taxpayer services, accounting, and of course, budget formulation. Under the leadership of the county executive and the administrative officer, I set out with a goal of making OBF more accessible and transparent. I hope that you will agree that we are consistently making progress toward that goal. With property management, I've initiated monthly status reports of mowing schedules and other projects within each of your districts. We have also added information to the property management website to provide details to the public, and initiated other communication avenues to keep our directors and community leaders apprised of important issues. As director, I have pushed these things, but they would not have been possible without the leadership of Deb Schindel and the property team. Deb Schindel testifies on all contracts coming before the council and frequently interacts with each of you on concerns you may present. And at this point, I would like to turn the floor over to her today to answer the questions and give you an opportunity to hear from her directly on day-to-day property management activities. Thank you. Deb, if you want to take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Blades. Deborah, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for this opportunity. Mr. Blades, you're a wonderful example of a great director, and I appreciate your support that you have given us over the last year. As many of you know, PM has 4 divisions with 242 authorized positions. We have our building maintenance section, which maintains over 300 major buildings and a miscellaneous over 100 other what we call minor buildings. We are also responsible for the operation of cleaning in those facilities and the pest control. We have a vibrant grounds group that mows in the parks, in the buildings. They do bed maintenance, and they do natural and artificial turf fields, along with maintaining all of the playgrounds here in Baltimore County so that they are safe. Lastly, but not least, you're probably very familiar with our capital group. Our capital does new construction for all agencies, and also equipment replacements for buildings where we currently maintain. We are a support system to all agencies. Some of our challenges here in the last year or more in the units are, everybody knows, the aging infrastructure and antiquated mechanical systems. We are well beyond the life expectancy of 90% of our equipment here in Baltimore County. Some of our boilers are 50 to 60 years old, and then our buildings are quite old too. So that's one of our challenges that we have. We do really try hard to provide preventive maintenance, and I think because we have done that, we're able to keep the systems lasting longer than their life expectancy. The other key factor for us in this last year and a half has been the lack of skilled labor. That is not just a property management issue, that is a county-wide issue, and more frankly, it is a nation issue. We have done such a great job promoting to our students and youth to go to college and get an education. But we have forgotten to tell folks that you can make a really good living being an HVAC mechanic, and that it's really okay, and that it's a wonderful, prideful job to be a plumber, and there's some really good things. So I think as the country and the nation turns that we have forgotten to do that, we struggle because private industry, as I have stated, has had the same issue. The challenge for us is competing. Sector has been consistently raising the salaries of skilled laborers, which has attracted many of our folks to leave the county and actually go and work for private sector currently. So, you know, I think that one of the things we've been trying to do is come up with creative ways to address that issue. And in order to be more proactive, we started to begin looking at formalizing an apprentice program. And apprentice programs are becoming, again, more and more popular, where we can attract the youth in Baltimore County in the school system and start teaching them about the trade positions, and then giving them a unique opportunity to come and work in the county that they live and gain the skills and then move up and hopefully stay with the county, and how beneficial that could be to them. We are currently still working on a proposal for the administration, but as we know, COVID-19 actually has hit. So we haven't forgotten about it. We're coming back to it now and swinging back around. But obviously, it's taken a back burner for just a little while. But as the county continues to evaluate efficiency throughout, PM will now be taking responsibilities on that we haven't in the past. And one of those new responsibilities is the data closets with the HVAC systems. So the HVAC systems that were managed by OIT, that were in the current data closets, the small data closets, were actually under contract. And the contract is now, and under warranty. The warranty is now completely out. And quite frankly, we have been supporting OIT and tag teaming it. And with the warranty going out of place, we felt, OIT and property management, that property management had the expertise to be able to now manage the repairs and make sure that we're getting a good value on our contracts when we need those repairs. And so that's why you saw that shifted over to us. We also did the same thing with generators. We had a good conversation with DPW equipment maintenance. It used to be that DPW did half of, to a certain point, of generators, and we did the additional half. Now we've decided that, as a team, that property management is probably the more skilled agency where they should fall, and we've taken 100% of that responsibility. So we enjoy the new excitement that we're getting. We're also very proud of all of our initiatives in the sustainability. As mentioned, we utilized a BG&E grant for $302,433. The county's portion to receive that funding was $125,542. With the grant, we were able to go into our smaller buildings like fire stations and police stations, and we were able to switch out our lighting and make light retrofits so that we can switch to LED lighting, and in hopes that we will start seeing a very good energy savings by the switching to LED. So in April, we're starting to now track that so we can share that information with everyone by the end of next year and see what kind of savings we actually get. We also are researching grants. We've worked very actively with other agencies, and I'm proud to say that we applied for the Maryland Smart Energy Grant, and we actually received $100,000 in the grant for Reisterstown Library and the new mechanical systems that'll be going there. So we are also working with Aging, who has the capability of some that they received through the state to repair some of their antiquated systems, and also the library does obviously some funding. So working with agencies, we're able to leverage some funding that we may not have before. We have also been looking at solar, very important. I know that we've talked about it for a long time, particularly for buildings and ground-mounted solar systems. Currently, we are reviewing with a very diverse committee 2 companies that have given the county proposals, and you should be hearing something very soon about that. I can't disclose anything because we are under review, but we're kind of excited about where we're headed. Last year, we also started kind of watching other counties and watching the best practices from them, and we started seeing everybody doing energy performance contracting. And as a lot of our structures are so antiquated, and it takes a lot of dollars to be able, with all of the buildings we have, diverse throughout Baltimore County, a lot of capital money to replace everything in our buildings. So we started looking at what other counties were doing, and we put an RFP out for energy performance contracting. And how that works in theory, and hopefully will, is that you pay for the new mechanical systems. A company will come in and evaluate everything you have as mechanical systems. It will tell you how much it will cost. They will tell you how much it will cost to replace everything and what they recommend, and then how much that they guarantee your energy savings will be. And the theory behind this is that what you save in your energy will offset the cost of the mechanical system, and that you're actually able to get a win-win situation. We actually are using less electricity, putting more money back in the county coffers to replace our aging equipment. Again, that is still being reviewed by a committee, so I hope to be able to give you some more information as we move forward. All alternative energy sources are being looked at. Even in our new construction, we're looking very closely at making sure that would solar be appropriate for any new buildings that we're doing. We're proud to be joining Steve Lafferty with the climate change. He is hosting a committee where they will be talking about reviewing county assets and the impacts to the climate change that have to county assets. And so we will be sitting with them and joining our diverse agencies to kind of come up with what direction the county should be heading. In addition to that, we have received over $100,000 in additional grant reimbursement through the Energy Star program, where we have replaced our mechanical system, and BG&E then gives us the county back money for purchasing Energy Star equipment. Seth has been a major driver on the Green at Work committee. Seth is our sustainability person here. He's fairly new with us. He's only been here a year. He's really picked up the ball on the old Green at Work committee and has re-engaged county staff and recommitted the county to get our stakeholders rethinking and getting back engaged with recycling and energy savings, because as we know, a lot of our staff and teammates that we work with could make a difference for the county as a whole. So we're going to do some education and hope that we can really educate people on how that's going to make a difference in the county. We're going to continue on being proactive about sustainability and our buildings, new buildings and facilities, and using less carbon footprint as we move forward. As PM continues commitment to the citizens of Baltimore County, PM felt it was necessary and fiscally responsible to reduce the mowing. One thing we try very hard to do is assess all of our contracts and how frequently we're asking for a service and what impact would it have, if any, if we decrease the service to save, to be more fiscally responsible and have no impact. We actually have reduced it from a 7-day mow to a 10-day mow, and this process has been very successful with little impact. I have not heard one complaint about us reducing the service. We very strongly feel like we're still meeting the citizens' needs. Something that is also very personal to me is PM's responsibility to provide excellent customer service. We continue to do our annual customer service survey. I know we've shared it with you the last couple years, and we're going to continue, and we submitted it obviously with this budget. We're going to continue with that, and I felt that we were getting some good feedback. It's always nice to hear people say good things about you, and I truly appreciate it, but I really enjoy also hearing the criticism so that we can fix it. So I hope that the narrative we provided reflects the overall performance by property management ratings. We're going to continue to expand, and we have, our outreach this past year. And I think Ed talked a little bit about it. We have stakeholders, meaning other agencies, can now give feedback on individual work orders. So when a work order is completed for them, and instead of waiting till the end of the year to hear their feedback, they can let us know, hey, I really think you did a poor job on this. It took too long to get to it. Or, hey, we think you did a good job. Your staff was really well. Why didn't it work? So that's one thing that we really we're going to continue to focus on as we move forward. We're starting to get that feedback now. We've had 2 quarters under our belt. We are also doing newsletters, obviously, to the county council and to the rec presidents. And so hopefully that has helped with transparency. And we have hosted, like we're very good partners with the Recreation and Parks. We've hosted meetings with them and the rec council presidents so that we can be engaged and be aware of if there's a problem on a field before we, before the end of the season. If there's an issue, let us know that you're unhappy or you think we need to do a better job, and we can get out there and really, before it gets any further and that people continue to be unhappy. We're going to obviously continue our customer service survey and sharing more information with our agencies and directors with deputies with their projects that are going on. We're staying in constant contact with them so they are aware. And then we are also in meetings with them to really promote what projects and capital that they want. I think it's important that they understand how old the infrastructure is, and and then that's a priority, and the roof is really bad, but we also need to understand their needs and how we can meet their needs and because of their communities changing and their services that are changing. Lastly, I want to take a moment to brag about the wonderful staff at Property Management, and I honestly can't say that enough. PM has really jumped in to support the county's mission with COVID-19. We're a very large part of the EOC team. Our storeroom has ample supplies for other agencies and that we normally buy for agencies, and we have worked with purchasing to double our par levels in the storeroom so that we can make sure we have what we need. It's crazy that the toilet paper fascination in this country always gets me, but we ramped up. We do not want to run out of toilet paper. So we really had to take a good hard look at items like that and start carrying far more than we usually do. We're also carrying now hand sanitizers and masks. I really want to say this too, and I'm sure you're aware of it, but our custodial staff are frontline workers. They are not, they're here every day. They are taking the responsibility to try to keep every county employee safe. They have really ramped up their cleaning on the touch points, door handles and light switches and all, and they have not complained once. And I'm really proud of them because I know this has been a scary time for everyone, but they have just jumped in wholeheartedly. And we've said, hey, can you go back and deep clean this? And they really have, with no complaints, done special cleanings. And then we've actually have had to increase our number of days of services for some 24/7 operations like police and 911 to make sure that we really are sanitizing their area more frequently so that we can help stabilize them and not affect their staffing levels. We've increased the hand washing locations for the larger buildings where we have a lot of people. And then lastly, the food delivery. I'm really proud to say that we here at Glenarm have jumped in and we are the warehouse to organize the food delivery. It is a, right now, 3-day, all-day project that our teams work 12-hour days to get all of the food in here, break it down, pack it up, repack it on the pallets, and get it out to the public and into your communities. So we really have a really great team. We're up to 28 sites supporting them in their deliveries. This has been no small task. And I have to also say, while ensuring that our team has every PPE they need also, because we need them. We could not do it without the support of our staff, the support of our director, the support of the administration, and we thank the council for your support. Anything else? I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much for that great update on all things good with property management. I'm sure the members have questions or comments to make. So who wants to go first?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Jones.
Yes, Ms. Shendo, I just want to thank you so much for all of your hard work and efforts, as well as everyone else in property management. I was sitting back here, and please forgive me, but I was sitting back here just smiling and really feeling the energy that you were putting forth. You're so proud of everything that you were doing. You're able to speak on it with such specificity that, you know, it just makes me feel good that I know how good you feel. And I can tell you that in years past, this has not been the type of presentation we would get out of property management. And I'm just here to tell you that I'm just thrilled that your leadership is really shown in everything you're doing. And I'm just appreciative of you, because I'm telling you, your enthusiasm is infectious. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councilman. I couldn't agree with you more. I know I've said this on more than one occasion that how much I appreciate the updates, what you call the newsletter, and letting the council members know exactly what has happened from month to month on all the properties and keeping us abreast of maybe, the forecast of what's going to be happening. So that's just awesome to know. I do have one question. You talked a little bit about all the different precautions that you're now taking, now that we're, in COVID-19, and with hand sanitizer and hand washing and all that. Do all of your employees in property management, 100% of them, have all the equipment that they need as far as masks and gloves before they go out the door every day?
Yes, I've been really focusing on supervisors to make sure that to make sure our employees have what they need. Yeah, it was one of the gentlemen a couple weeks ago had mentioned to me he didn't have hand sanitizer. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have hand sanitizer? So I took him back in the storeroom and I'm like, here, do you have this? Do you have that? We're really getting it out there that they really are important and that they need to have their PPEs, and we will continue to advocate that our people wear. Not only do we issue them, but they need to wear them for their own personal safety. So yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I can't help but worry just more personal level about how all our employees are doing, from day to day. And I hope that all the supervisors are really touching base, with the employees, finding out how COVID is affecting them, or maybe not. But my worry would always be if I was the one home and my spouse or loved one was out in the field, about bringing that home and just worrying all the time about that. And or maybe the person still working is worried about not being able to be home and help with the schoolwork and help with that sort of thing when you have kids at home. So I just hope, and this is for all the agencies, that everybody's really checking in and make sure that their employees are okay in these very different, scary times, because, you're one of those agencies where everybody is out the door every single day.
Yes, thank you. And I have to applaud the administration. They've given us and staff flexibility to where we can make sure that we have the PPEs we need. And in addition to that, if there are circumstances for an individual, they to help with families. So I'm really impressed with this administration and the support that they give all the employees.
That's so good to hear, because a lot of daycare facilities are shut down. A lot of people are working at home and don't need daycare, so their kids are home and you still have to go to work, and you can't bring anybody into your home to watch your children, so besides the people that already live there. So it's good to hear that flexibility is there, not only in your agency, but all the agencies, I'm hoping. Thanks, Deb. I appreciate that. David, Councilman Marks, I believe you had a...
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking about when your predecessor came before us, say 3 years ago, and we always kind of got a bit of a laugh with how those meetings were conducted. I echo everything that Councilwoman Bevins and Councilman Jones said. Your agency has done a total 180. I credit this administration. I credit the county executive's focus on customer service, but I give you a lot of credit. You have a personal touch that is so refreshing in government, and I just want to applaud everything you and your agency are doing. I want to give a shout out to Brian Shepard as well. You have been a pleasure to work with, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, and I will definitely pass it on to Brian. He really is one of a kind. He's great.
Yep, you're doing great. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilman Catch.
Yes. Deborah, I can't tell you how appreciative I am of the job that you're doing and your concern for your fellow employees is very reassuring. As others have said, we in the past, when these briefings have come up with your previous leadership, it's been used to send a cold chill through my body. It was well, I can't describe it. But again, I appreciate the job you're doing so much, and you're the kind of leader in government that we need in every agency. I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. Do you have the auditor's report in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you please go to page 13. And at the top, the auditor's office is talking about some spending more money in certain areas, and I think what the purpose of page 13 is to point out to us, I guess, where possible areas of reductions that we could make. But I want to just make a comment to you that with our Baltimore County Public Schools, I think one of the reasons that we've had to spend so much money to remodel the schools or replace them is they have not been maintained properly over the years. And I don't want a situation where we're going to make cuts in building maintenance or operations where the end result is that that particular building or that particular system is either going to not be worth fixing anymore, or that it's going to be very expensive to fix. So if there are cuts, you have, as a department, a list with these projects of which ones are particularly a problem versus ones that maybe can wait a little longer. I'm not asking you to, to give the list now, but I'm very concerned about this because, again, because of what's happened in our public schools, and sometimes it's just plain foolish not to spend money on something that's desperately needed because of the consequences down the line.
Councilman, first, let me thank you for that. That is a strong view that I agree with 100%. I think that part of the problem is and I feel like I've been in government quite some time, that we tend to defer maintenance, and it catches us. And to be honest with you, I feel like, and I understand in the past quite frequently to defer it, and that's why we're currently in the situation we are in, where our buildings are in not such great shapes. We have a lot of needs in our buildings. And I appreciate that acknowledgement of it, and I will get you a list, because that would be my number one concern. If we don't take care of our buildings, they will not make it. And since I think, and I don't blame the past, because I understand you have to live within your means, that becomes a problem. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing these older buildings have antiquated systems because that's what we deferred each time. It's easy. It's not sexy, nothing pretty about it. And it is my concern, too. So thank you very much. I will definitely get back to you on that.
And if I might say, I'm sure you don't seem shy, so I hope that if there's talk about not doing something, you're going to say, you can't do that. We've got to do this particular project, or else it's going to really cost us a fortune in the future, or we might have to replace the whole system. So you will be forceful, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for that opportunity. I'm not sure Ed's going to like it, but yeah, no problem. I think it's a good conversation, and I appreciate it. Like I said, I think it's easy for us to build new buildings because it's exciting, but we really need to focus on maintaining the buildings we build. And that's a challenge, and I get that. But yes, I will. Thank you very much for that support. Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Next member who would like to speak?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Crandall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, Ms. Schindel. How are you today?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So when Mr. Blades started the portion of the hearing, I thought we were going back in time where we weren't going to hear from the director and the administration was going to speak for the director. And thankfully, that is not the case. It has not been the case since this new administration. So not that we don't like hearing from Mr. Blades, because we always have a lot of questions for him. But to hear and to be able to directly interact, as the other members have said, directly interact with the Director of Property Management is a breath of fresh air. I do appreciate it, as the other members do. I have a couple quick things, and then what I think might be a little bit of an elephant in the room as a third thing, but I'm going to try to get through the quick things. Years and years ago, property management absorbed the labor manpower from Rec and Parks, and now, as you mentioned before, that Rec and Parks and property managers are sort of tied together in terms of how we take care of rec facilities, parks, and such. And I noticed that Director Johnson and Bob Smith are in on the call, which is, I guess, appropriate. I don't know if that was a stroke of wisdom by our auditor and Chris Belcastro that schedules these things, or it's just serendipity. But either way, it's a good thing. So can you, one of the things that I've encouraged, and I think some of the other members have done as well, and I think the county executive has been on board from this since the beginning of his first year, is interagency connectivity and collaboration. And there are some things in the past that I had found very sort of cumbersome just to get some of the most simple things done, where DPW had to go through a whole chain of command to get a 1 hour work order accomplished, and had to go through all the way through DPW to property management to Rec and Parks back to property. So have you been able to alleviate some of that bureaucracy, especially when it comes to Rec and Parks?
I'm going to say I believe so. I think that, and Rec and Parks, please jump in if I'm not saying correctly or you all feel differently. Again, I'm a real customer service person, and so we have really, there's nothing shy about me. I've gotten very close with Bob, and I'm looking forward to the new director. She came in and then COVID happened, but we've made a really good partnership, and I think that we have been, if there's a situation where something's going on and needs our help, Brian Shepard and myself are on the phone 24/7, so they will pick up the phone and say, hey, Debbie, I need this now from you. And I feel like we do that for every agency, but Rec and Parks is obviously one of our largest. I feel like we are coming together stronger and stronger, and I think that Rosalind's going to bring that much needed partnership, and I think that we are going to really be a very much stronger unit. I feel like we have resolved a lot of that in the last year. Open dialogue and make a phone call and tell me what the problem is, and I tell anybody that, and I will jump right on it. So Rec, do you feel, I know it's not fair to ask Rosalind, she didn't get the opportunity to see what it was, but do you have any comments, Rec, for that? Any feedback for us?
Deb, this is Rosalind, and I can certainly concur with everything that you've said. A great example of this would be our playgrounds and our basketball courts. When COVID initially happened, even though those areas were closed, we immediately noticed that it was a challenge and we had to address it. And I reached out to you and called you, and you and your team were on it right away. My team was amazing in identifying those heavily utilized areas. You all were very nimble. You snow fenced the playgrounds, and you worked diligently to take down all the rims. So I would have to say that you've been extremely responsive, and just great to work with. The same for the food distribution. We didn't know how it was going to happen, and you and your team just jumped right in. You partnered with Baltimore County Public Schools when the job got even bigger. So yes, hats off to you and your team, and thank you for all of your hard work in helping us to try to get through this COVID pandemic.
You're quite welcome. And I think because we talk so frequently and we meet monthly, and I just think it has improved, and they know, and we will keep reiterating, if there's a situation, pick up the phone. I'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. I hope that we have resolved what has happened in the past. I feel like we have.
Sure. Well, I think there's certainly progress that has been made, which was, I think, necessary, especially in a time when we're looking for efficiencies and we're looking for trimming costs where we can and doing things in a more expedient way. I'm going to table my second point, and maybe we can talk offline, or it might be more directed towards Mr. Blades, that I can have a conversation with him at a later time, just because I think we're running a little bit late, and I want to keep things moving. But you've seen the auditor's report, excuse me, that has normal identified cuts and then pandemic cuts. And this is, I think, our fifth hearing since this process began with the council. Even the first hearing we had, which was an agency with a staff of one who wanted to add an employee, we questioned Kelly Madigan on the efficacy of adding an employee at that point. So we are really, as a body, really getting into the nitty-gritty of the budget and looking at $192 million difference in what our own analysts think that our revenues are going to be and what the administration forecasted revenues to be in FY21. So I think that has driven the unprecedented step that the auditors have taken in supplying these two different types of cuts depending on the scenario that we're in. So would you like to address those potential cuts, specifically hiring freeze, benefit freeze?
Sure.
That are found, I believe, on page, Lauren, Liz, help me, I think 6. I'm toggling back and forth here. Actually, pages 8 and 9, I suppose.
Sure. So, I think
By
that
the way, each agency's report that I've seen so far from our analysts have this same scenario and with personnel hiring freezes and such. So your agency hasn't been singled out for this. Every single agency has, in my experience so far this year, have these cuts have been identified as potentials.
And on page 7, excuse me, as well, there are some cuts that are more specific to property management as far as service contracts and like gas and electric utility savings, that sort of thing. If you could just talk about that a little, that would be great.
Sure. So the first one that you identified is the department-wide to operational services reduction. And again, that's including the replacement of HVAC replacement parts, playground equipment, and custodial supplies and construction material. And basically, this operation cost is really an unknown for us from year to year. And we recognize that we have been going down from a little bit each year, and but we do have to be concerned about cutting it too far back, because we obviously need to still maintain our playgrounds to a safe level, and our HVAC replacements, we got to be in a position where we can maintain the equipment that we have. I think on number 2, there was a error in the fuel, motor fuel. We actually, just wanted to bring it to your attention, the 448,000 and 125 is, I think, a typo. We use only 48,125 with the fuel program. But this reduction we recognize we've been very, very fortunate that some of our contractors have not asked for their CPI. And this has been going on for 2 years. I'd like to say that we're going to be that lucky this year, and that would be an additional savings for us. With the current status of the economy, I think that those contractors who have not asked for a CPI the last 2 years may come up and ask for that CPI increase, the cost of living increase. And so I caution us there to be aware that we may have to do that, and looking at that pretty closely. Scale back on service contracts. We really, I always say I will 100.
I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
When we get to the pandemic economy questions, I really think these are awfully broad and really require more than a narrow window to review and think about and talk through. So I don't think we can put numbers on here, because 3 and 4, you can see the auditors, it's to be determined. It's really a lot to discuss and consider. So I would just ask if we could just kind of accept the pandemic economy reductions, not to accept them and take cuts, but accept that, yeah, these are real things that we have to talk through. But I don't think that we can turn around it this quickly on what that means to the property management budget or any other budget coming forward. Put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blades. Understood. I'm gonna sign off, or at least mute myself, so my dogs don't interrupt our conference.
Okay, is there any more questions or comments from the council members?
Madam Chair.
Patoka?
Yeah, so Ms. Schindel, let me just say that was an excellent presentation on property management. I had a very difficult time in wrapping my arms around an agency called property management, because I had never heard of an agency called property management before, other than a segment of some condominium association or something like that. But the way you described it, it made it clear to me that what your agency does is really, it's typically called a Department of General Services in many other jurisdictions.
Correct,
so,
yes.
Yeah, so your description really helped me to understand that. In fact, it's kind of a Department of General Services plus a lot of other things. So that, I can't tell you how helpful that was. It was, and so I think your team has done an outstanding job. I want to give a shout out to Erica Crouch, who my team tells me has been extremely responsive, and anything that any request that comes in through our council office. But again, that was just one of the best agency presentations that I've ever heard. Well done, Ms. Schindel.
Thank you, sir. And I will gladly share that with Erica. She's a very hard worker, and she will be tickled pink to hear that you gave her a shout out. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else?
Chair.
Pardon me, Councilman Quirk?
Yeah, just real briefly, I know I noticed on the median strip cutting from 7 to 10 days, looking at it, saying that you're not seeing any issues, but then also knowing that we have grass cutting season upon us. And so if you could watch it really closely, because median strip cutting, if they're not cut, believe me, every council member sitting in this budget hearing will hear about it nonstop. And it's been a really, in the past, cutting median strips and cutting government property grass, it's something citizens really notice, and we expect them to be diligent on their grass cutting. We certainly need to set the example. So if you could watch that, because it's a big headache otherwise, and I think we've been here many times in the past, going back years and years. So please just be real careful of that, because I'm a little concerned on that one, knowing that grass season is upon us. Other quick couple things, and then I'll be done. Is I would, it would be nice later to really understand more savings that property management might be accruing. Obviously with the custodial savings, say for example the libraries, or gas and electric savings, or but also county, some of these contracts we have out there. Would we not be better served if we had county employees versus contractors? And that's everything.
Oh, first, let me address the median strips, if you don't mind. Thank you. We definitely, we have about 50 median strips that we are responsible for. The remainder of the ones are DPW, and I know that can get confusing. If you would like us to share our list of median strips that we take care of, and the rest are done by DPW, we actually were just jumping in to help DPW. They were having a challenge to keep up, and so we took the ones that were getting the most complaints. And we can gladly share that with you, but if you get a complaint about any median strip, start here first. I'm fine with it. We always work with DPW. And absolutely. So talking about contractors and would we be better off? We have done cost analysis in some of the job tasks. And so we try to be mindful, and this is particularly important when it comes to grounds. We have become very specialized in our grounds department. And so we have the cost analysis that it is cheaper for the county to give mowing away, but it is not cheaper for the county to give to a contractor our natural turf field maintenance. It is not for playgrounds and artificial turf fields. So we have put contracts out there to say, hey, how much is it costing, or would it cost if we decided to give this stuff to a contractor? And we found it not cost effective and not in the best interest of the county. So that is something that we constantly try to do, is that we balance how much it's going to cost and what is best for the taxpayer. And so we can gladly share that again with you, but that's what we have. That's how we really do try to do honest cost analysis, so that we do get the best bang for the county dollar. We're always willing to save money.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Jones?
The only thing that I would add, I certainly appreciate Ms. Shindo's conversation in terms of cost analysis. But what I would just add to that is that let's just be mindful that when we pay a contractor to do a job, there's a certain profit margin that goes into the person who owns the company, and the people that are most times doing the task are being paid much less. And in the long run, if you were to say, would it be better to spend a few dollars more so that the employees that are actually doing the job have a decent cost of living, a livable wage, and they're able to feed their families and feed their local economy by buying things for their family, versus saving a few dollars on our end, but then we pay for it later when those employees that are working for the contractor that are making substantial wages end up in our Department of Social Services or some other place. So I guess my point that I'm trying to make is, when you make those calculations, make sure you think about the greater good, what's best for Baltimore County, and it's not always just simply the dollar amount. So I guess wanted to put that out there to be cognizant of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I hope our apprentice program really promotes that too, that our theory of, you live in the county, work in the county kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. There is a fine balance to everything. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Anyone else? Ms. Shendel, I would like to mention at this time, I want to say thank you. I know I sent you an email, but since you're, Ed's listening, thank you for your quick response to the children are getting a little restless down here in Oliver Beach, and they tore all the caution tape off the playground, and then they decided to take the soccer goalie and throw it up on the jungle gyms. I don't know what the purpose of that was, but your agency got out here very quickly and taped it all back up again. And I certainly appreciate that, because with the tape being gone, they may think it's okay to play on, or their parents may. And certainly we wouldn't want that happening at this time. So thank you very much. It happened very quickly, and I appreciate that. And
Quite welcome.
And if there are no other questions, I would just like to say I have appreciated you all year long. You've done a great job, and I look forward to continuing to have this working relationship. I know I'm probably speaking for all the members at this point, and please tell all of your employees that the County Council is very thankful for the frontline work that they're doing out there, and we want them to continue to be safe and stay healthy. And thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, before we adjourn, may I make a comment?
Certainly.
Deb, I want to say how much of a pleasure it is working collectively across the government in an enterprise management way. But for our council colleagues, this is the direction of the administration, that we work in an enterprise type of way. Some of the collaboration that you talked about with Deb's team, Rec and Parks, but just across the board, looking at what the issue is and how we come together as county government is indeed the direction. The transparency that Deb has moved forward on is what we strive for enterprise-wide. So, Deb, thanks for, taking hold of and grasping the core beliefs and criteria by which we're trying to operate as a total government, and representing those and how you do work. And for our council colleagues, this is indeed what we are seeking. I know, Madam Chair, you mentioned that you hoped that for all of the agencies, it was the case that we were providing flexibility. Most definitely we have been. If there were individual challenges with employees, schedules, or needs for not only child care, but senior care, we definitely moved forward and did that and worked through every individual case. But how Deb is operating is how we're seeking to operate across the enterprise. So thank you, Deb, and council colleagues. We continue to strive to be transparent, collaborative, and integrated in our approach across the government.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions or comments, are we going right into Rec and Parks directly right here?
Yes, Madam Chair, it's all next event for both agencies.
That's what I thought. Thank you so much. Let me just pull myself up here. Okay, everybody is with us, and I know we've already heard from the director, so I know Rosalind Johnson is here, and the legislative analyst is Jody Baldwin. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, Jody, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. The proposed budget for fiscal year 2021 for the Department of Recreation and Parks totals $16.1 million. The general fund portion of the budget totals $12.1 million and increases by $592,000, or 5.1%, primarily due to increased personnel cost. The special fund portion of the budget totals $4.0 million and increases by $108,000, or 2.8%. due primarily to increased personnel cost and equine and sporting equipment purchases. This analysis identifies 6 potential operating budget reductions ranging from $36,000 to $3.0 million. In your packet, you will see that each potential reduction is identified as either a normal economy or pandemic economy reduction. The first normal economy reduction shown on page 5 is the type of reduction our office would be likely to identify under normal economic situations. It relates to the department's spending history. This reduction is less important to discuss now that we are in a pandemic economy. The remaining reductions, beginning on page 6, relate to the new pandemic economy that we have entered. These explore how larger scale funding changes targeting specific programs would create cost savings in excess of those identified in the other agencies you've discussed thus far in the hearing process. This analysis also shows the effects of government-wide across-the-board actions and allow the director to discuss the possible staffing and service level effects of all of these scenarios. Other discussion issues follow in the budget package beginning on page 8, which address the following: personnel, volunteer background checks, COVID-19, capital projects, and the new director. At this time, I would like to turn it over for discussion.
Thank you so much. Ms. Johnson?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, council members. 2 cups of coffee, or to be inclusive and include property management's amount that they expend for recreation and parks, 2 movie tickets. 2 cups of coffee or 2 movie tickets. That's the county's current investment per person for the department that oversees over 13,000 programs a year, 161,000 registrations a year, has approximately 13 million visitors a year at our over $1 billion in assets throughout our 14,000 acres of parks and 83 miles of trails. We're the same department during COVID that was well-loved and overloved during COVID. We saw and heard the residents say we're essential, keep our parks open. It's the one place we can go aside from grocery stores. We served over 1 million meals as a county. Recreation and Parks was intimately involved in over 360,000, second only to schools, albeit a team effort. We started with a little over 300 meals a day, and now we're up to over 1,600 meals a day, serving 3 times a week. We were nimble, adding to our efforts assistance with the election, getting the word out to the community, food distribution, and very soon assisting our very own residents with SNAP applications. We even were able to get social media during this pandemic. It's clear for our economy to recover and for residents to get back to work. Activities such as leader-led activities are a necessity, and it's parallel to this that the parks and trails have become a daily activity for residents to manage their mental health. During this pandemic, we've looked at some immediate plans. Of course, reopening, and what does that look like under COVID? For this summer, we're looking at free recreation on social media, where at set times during the day, we will have activities that residents can participate in. We're looking at virtual leader-led summer camps. So we're looking at an AM time and a PM time for approximately 3 hours in the AM and 3 hours in the PM. Parents could register for both times, where their child would be leader-led. So essentially, we'd have 1 leader, summer youth employee, as well as about 10 campers in a virtual summer camp room. So they would be directly being led. We're looking at setting up social distancing camps, depending on what that looks like, depending on when we open and where we are with our numbers in the county. We're also looking at mobile recreation. We know we won't be able to serve everyone through these 3 plans. So what areas or what neighborhoods, in conjunction with the police, will we need to go out to and actually be able to provide recreation? We've also worked on our action plan. We've had an all-staff meeting where we've looked at a medium-term action plan, where we're looking at how we can collect more revenue, our mission and vision, department-directed programming, as well as a new model, bringing our current recreation model into 2020. Currently, our model is one that was created, as you all know, a very long time ago, and we haven't changed as times have changed. And then long term, we realize that recreation is not a nicety, it's a necessity. We have some amazing rec councils, and we have some that need a little bit more help and some that need a little bit more volunteers in order to be able to provide recreation services to residents. We need to assess our entire offering and programs that we provide. We need to set standards for what a viable recreation or recreation council's programs would include. We need MOUs with rec councils. We also, our last master plan was completed in 1950. I don't need to remind you, in 1950, our county looked very different, and oftentimes there was only one person in the house working, where now we have everyone in the house working in many instances, both parents. And we need to look at a full master plan, and as I mentioned, the last one was in 1950. I know you have a tough job ahead of you with many difficult decisions to be made, but our budget is kind of like gremlins. Every dollar you put in, you get 10, 20 more gremlins because of the partnership we have with the Rec Council. So our dollars do multiply with the amount of programs that can be provided to the community. In 2010, our budget was $25 million, and today you all, of course, know what our budget is. You have difficult decisions to be made, but I would not be doing my job as a recreation and parks professional and advocate for county services if I didn't share with you what we know and what we're seeing about the services we provide and the great need that there is here in the county, especially during the time of trying to rebuild our economy. We're the only department that can increase property values, lure people to move to the county because of the programs and the facilities and amenities that we provide, and we can also reduce juvenile crime. So we are a key department in coming back out of this COVID pandemic that we're currently in. Thank
you, Ms. Johnson. First, how's your first, has it been a half a year now?
Actually, I think I'm 3 months in.
Seems like 6.
A little bit over 6. Yeah, 6 years or 6 months. I'm not sure which.
Well, thank you for that. And this is your first budget hearing, of course. And thank you for that wonderful update on all things fantastic in our Rec and Parks. I do want to say, especially thank you for the food contributions that have been going out. I know that that could not have been an easy task to take on, and I know that that increased. And then on, I think on Thursday now you give out for 2 days, so I'm sure that was something that wasn't easy as well to coordinate. So I'm especially grateful for that, and I know that there are many families that are grateful for that as well during these extraordinary times. Before anyone asks any questions, I do want to say at the very beginning, and I'll probably say it at the end, background checks were mentioned, and I know everybody gets tired of hearing it over and over again. It's kind of like right a ballpark, David. You're just going to keep hearing it. But I'm especially grateful that finally, under the Olszewski administration, and with Ms. Rogers and yourself now as the director, that bill was passed in 2014, and here we are finally in 2020, and it's happening the right way, and I'm very grateful for that. And we can talk later. You can update me on how that's working out, or probably not at this time due to COVID. But I'm at Eastern Regional. That's the regional park that's closest to my home. I'm there at least 3 times a week with my dog. You can watch me on Facebook there. It's a very nice park with asphalt track, and it also has very nice trails that my dog enjoys, and I meet some of the nicest people there. And I also frequent Honeygo Park, which is also as nice, but I think a little bit bigger. I appreciate our parks and our open space and all the recreation that your agency has to offer. And I do agree with you, it can really help home values and makes people want to live here because of what the county offers in those communities. So I'm very grateful for that. So now I'll ask any of the members who would like to go first with any questions or comments. Councilman Marks? You're on.
I got you. Thank you very much. I echo everything that the chairwoman said, and we're very proud of Honey Go Park and all the parks that have been built. Again, I want to thank you, Ms. Johnson, for all your assistance. Ms. Rogers, I want to thank you for staying engaged with me as we continue to look for park properties. And I want to thank staff such as Pat McDougall, who works very hard. You have a great department, and I think we can get a lot of stuff done. My question has to do with the amount of program open space money that's remaining in the accounts. I think it's over $10 million. It amazes me that the last administration never spent down that balance. And my concern is that the state government is going to be looking for money everywhere to fill the coffers. And I just don't want to see us lose any of that money because the state government, maybe in the next legislative session, drains down the program open space. So please let me know that you are aggressively looking for parks to purchase, including in the Northeast to help with Councilwoman Bevins and myself, particularly now that we're losing fields at the Nottingham Middle site. Please spend that money down as much as you can before the state takes it away.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Marks. Duly noted. In our CIP budget, we have expended the vast majority of that POS money. And you're absolutely correct. Budgets are shrinking, so we want to make sure that we are taking our fair share and spending this for the residents to be able to enjoy. And we have probably about 3 or 4 acquisitions that we're looking at currently.
Yeah, and I think you know which ones. So yeah, I think we still have about 10 million maybe in there for acquisitions. So that's primarily what I wanted to ask. And I think the auditor, when they went through the projects that are underway, they're not maybe looking at the 2-year cycle, because I know while my district doesn't have anything identified, I know Radaball Park, which Councilwoman Bevins mentioned, that is coming to completion later in the year, and I know that's part of it. So thank you for all the good work you're doing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have an amazing team that I work with. Very fortunate.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Marks. Do we have another member that has questions or comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. Izzy?
Yes.
So, Ms. Johnson, thank you for that presentation. Historically, departments of Rec and Parks are the ones that take it on the chin during difficult budget times. And once cuts are made to departments of Recreation and Parks, it's always difficult to climb your way back. And, it's one of the amenities, I think, that's really makes the county a great county, is having that suburban and rural character full of parks and area and open space. So I just want to share with my colleagues that it's really important that we're careful in terms of how we deliberate with this agency. Also, just want to check in the 2nd District, we don't have any rec centers, and we do have Pikesville Turf Field scheduled, and I wanted to make sure that's still in play.
Yes. Go ahead, Pat. Was that Pat? Sorry. Yes, it still is in play. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, and thank you, Madam Chair.
And thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilman Catch?
Yes. Ms. Johnson, welcome to Baltimore County, and I appreciate the job that you're doing. I'm sure that you have spoken to the administration and realized that northern Baltimore County, the Hereford Rec Council, etc., they have no fields, no rec facility, and I know that's something that the administration is is working on, and I'm sure you know that.
Yes, I've had probably about 3 different meetings with community members. I have another web call coming up with Eric Vandermeet, I believe this week, if not early next week. So absolutely yes, and it is on our radar. And we have put that on the table as one of the projects that we would like to work through and move forward with. In some instances, I believe we phased it in, looking at the fields first and the building second, and we've kind of gone back and forth with that, trying to figure out the most cost-effective way and the most immediate way to get those amenities to the residents in Hereford.
Mr. Cash, was that your only question?
The same regarding senior, well, you're not Department of Aging, so that's all right. I do, you know, your agency has the Ag Center, which is very important to Baltimore County. We have the state and the local government. We've invested tens of millions of dollars in preserving agricultural land, and we need to keep it in agriculture. We need these farmers, et cetera, to be successful. The average age of the farmer, Baltimore County farmer, I think, is the late 50s. So, you know, we need to encourage the young people to get into this profession. The Ag Center is very critical, very important, and I sent you a message last week, and I just, you know, we do need to get together to discuss this and discuss Hereford, etc. And you know, have you been to Northern Baltimore County?
Yes, I know that Baltimore County has been to the Ag Center as well. And I agree. We certainly do need that farm manager there. That was one of the proposed cuts. The farm manager does exactly what you articulated, but also it ensures that we are in line with our program Open Space as well as the LWCF funding, about $15 million that was invested at the Ag Center, and we believe the farm manager would assist in keeping us on track. We've kind of been warned in the past, if you will, and we have to manage that and marry that with being able to keep the farm and the Ag Center available for passive recreation too, in the form of a park. So you're absolutely spot on. We agree with you wholeheartedly that that is a very important position.
And the MOU between Mark and Rec and Parks is another issue. And I just want you to know that when you were in Northern Baltimore County, my district, you were in God's country. Okay?
No argument there.
Good. So you do agree that my district is the most beautiful. Thank you for agreeing with me.
Now,
Madam Chair.
wait 1 second. Bob Smith is on the line, and he will bring you down to his neighborhood and show you God's country, Councilman Catch.
Well, let me everywhere, and I love all parks the exact same.
I'm sure Izzy was just getting ready to say something.
Madam Chair, that's for Stacy.
Yes, Ms. Rogers.
Councilmember Catch, in our correspondence, we definitely want to acknowledge the MOU with Mark. We totally agree with you that we should have a working agreement. We hold that same position about any entity that we are engaged with, and I want to acknowledge Ms. Johnson for hitting the ground running on the MOU issue with Mark and looking at other MOUs that we should have in place just as good practice, you know, good government, so that we're all Waterford crystal clear on our working relationship and whose responsibility is what. So that is a definite. I'm not sure why there was no MOU in place in the past, but that is something that you can rest assured we are working on.
I may be getting into the weeds here, but with Mark, what I shared with them was that we do want to move forward with an MOU, and this was pre-COVID, maybe 2 weeks before COVID, and we had asked that they give us about 2 months. We figured the farm manager would be on in about a month, and then we would have about a month or so time to be able to get the farm manager acclimated to the actual facility, because we want them to have buy-in and input in the MOU as well. And in the meantime, Mark was going to get what they wanted and what they wanted the county to commit for the MOU, and then we would come to the table with what we wanted and what we wanted Mark to commit at the table. And that was the agreement we had, and that, of course, was before this entire pandemic hit. So we're behind schedule on that, but our staff, we do have the, and this was actually prior to the farm manager position closing. I think we had about 2 weeks before the position closed. So we are in the process of setting up those interviews. I was waiting, though. I know you and I had kind of gone back and forth in some emails to see if we could set up that web meeting so that we could both be on the same page. I will not be on the interview panel, particularly for the first round, but we have a diverse panel for the first round.
If I might say that it's very important that the farm manager knows something about farms, knows something about crops, knows something about farm animals. There's been a couple of embarrassing incidences there at the Ag Center within the last month because there's no one there that really understands farm animals or crops. So, we got to have that credibility of someone to run it who understands agriculture. So I appreciate it. Look forward to meeting with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Quirk is next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Obviously, budget's tough, but we do recognize our parks, especially now. I think I find myself in a park every weekend, along with many of us hiking or trying to get out and enjoy the parks. And just a quick plug for Benjamin Banneker Park. That surrounds my community and it's amazing. And the Benjamin Banneker is always a fantastic place to hike and walk, and a lot of history. And also, I know Senator Charles Sidner too. Say good words for Western Hills feasibility study, because that's something that's clearly needed, and I think has the strong support of the county executive. Once, of course, capital and the budget is a little easier, but long-term planning, I think that would be great. And of course, the Gwynn Oak Park Expansion Pavilion, I know Councilman Jones and I would love to see that as where possible. But I did want to just thank Rec and Parks for all your good work, and lastly, the Baltimore County Sailing Center, while not in my district, is an exceptional place, and I appreciate all the work that goes into to make that happen. I know a lot of kids enjoy it, and a great program. So I think Rec and Parks does a lot with a little bit of resources, and appreciate your work. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman, I believe you were next. Did you have your hand up, Councilman Crandall?
No, I was giving a thumbs up to Councilman Quirk for his mention of the Baltimore Sailing Center.
Oh, okay. All right.
I believe Councilman Jones was raising his hand.
Okay, Councilman Jones.
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you so much. I can see how you can get Todd Crandall and I confused. We look alike.
You do. It's the glasses.
Ms. Rosalind, Ms. Johnson, I'm sorry. I have a couple of questions. Number one, I was just curious. I was sitting here the whole time thinking to myself, what was the name of the movie that we gave these tickets to?
Oh, okay, so my mention of the 2 cups of coffee and the 2 movie tickets was that.
What was the movie? What was the movies?
The Little Engine That Could.
Okay. And was it decaf, or was it the coffee? Was it like a high dollar, $5 cup of coffee, or was it like $1.99 or 50-cent coffee?
2 Starbucks coffee totaling $13.67 per resident, and the 2 movie tickets were $23.33 per resident.
Okay. Expensive stuff. All right. Well, let me just say that I guess the other thing is, we didn't have a coronavirus until you showed up.
My goodness.
Well, I'm actually glad I was here. We could all work through it together. I'm so happy to be here.
Actually, 3 weeks before, and what a blessing she has been. I don't know how we would have made it without her. On Madam Chair, on the food distribution.
No, I do want to congratulate you and all your efforts and your team and everything they're doing. They're doing a fantastic job distributing the food. I was just out there. I see them all at the PAL Centers doing a great job, working very well with the Maryland National Guard.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. Oh yeah, I look forward to when this pandemic is over, when we get somewhere back to normal. I look forward to basically making sure that we do everything in our power to promote recreation throughout Baltimore County. I mean, for years, I've just been very frustrated at the fact that we have all these basketball courts sitting there with no rims on it. And it makes us looks like the type of jurisdiction that we are not. We're better than that. And I think we can do better by, when this pandemic is over, putting all the rims up, repairing all the courts, repairing the tennis courts, and making this the type of county that we all can be proud of. I think that time of not having the rims up, that time is come and gone. So the other thing, of course, I would just like to put a plug in for Northwest Regional Park. That's a beautiful facility. The staff does a great job there, as well as Reisterstown Regional Park. And we also have quite a few other places, if you want to spend some of that money that Councilman Marks talked about in terms of the $10 million. We have a few other pocket parks that could use some investments, or we can bring them on the books. Other than that, I certainly appreciate Councilman Quirk talking about the additional recreation on this side of the county with Gwynn Oak Park. Also, I certainly support the West Hills. Someday it'll be a nice community center, but I certainly support the feasibility study at this time. And I guess, the times that I've had an opportunity to talk with you, you've done a very good job. I look forward to working with you as we move forward. And I'm just very proud that you're here.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm very happy to be here. To your point, what we've put into the proposed capital budget is a playground and tennis refurbishment, an account, so that we can look at our most in-need courts and begin to actually renovate them instead of doing it on a onesie, twosie, adding it to the budget, actually having an account and a pot of money so that we can do that, because as you said, it's very important that we do that and we show our residents, particularly our young people, how much we do care about them, and we want them to have great facilities to be able to recreate it.
Miss, one of the things that I would just add that, when I ride across Baltimore City and I see that all of their basketball courts are up with rims and kids are playing, of course they're not playing now, but, and then I come back into Baltimore County and I'm looking at $500,000 homes and I go down the street and the school doesn't even have a basketball rim up. I mean, it's absolutely embarrassing.
I agree with you, Councilman.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree with you, Councilman Jones.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm guessing Councilman Patoka? you have any questions or comments for Ms. Johnson?
I gave a few comments earlier, Madam Chair.
I thought you were doing something. Okay. Anyone else have any comments or questions? No? Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much for the presentation and for answering our questions, and continue to do a great job at everything that you're doing. Thank you for attending, and thank your staff for us, and tell them we really appreciate them being out on the front lines, and the council really does appreciate all that they're doing, and especially all those that are involved in the food distribution. We really appreciate that. We have more and more families showing up every week. I know that, and it seems like the longer this is drawn out, the longer the lines are for people to come and get food. I was just watching. They actually had a fundraiser this morning, I believe, for the food bank, trying to get large contributions because they're running low at the food bank. And I believe I won't mention the bank, or maybe I should, maybe I won't give them a plug. But anyway, just one bank donated $300,000 to the food bank. So there's extraordinary people out there doing extraordinary things for the people in Baltimore County, and I'm very grateful for that.
Absolutely. Thank you all so very much for your partnership and for all of your support for our department. We really appreciate it. We try to be nimble. We try to respond to every inquiry and every concern and be able to address it in a timely manner. So thank you for working with us, working through our technology. Most of our staff's not up on technology, so we're getting acclimated to WebEx and everything else. So I really look forward to working with you all in the future, and thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
And I know Bobby is on the line, so I just want to say thank you, Bobby, for all you do.
Yep, but can you put your video on? It's not every day you have a suit on. Can you show us your, okay, thank you.
Make everyone feel better when I'm inside. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the kind words. We're glad to help.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Bob did a great job. He worked with some very trying issues in my community, and he did a fantastic job. He's a pleasant person to work with.
Yes, he is.
Glad to help out, sir.
All righty, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman.
Madam Chair, if I can, since Councilman Jones thinks that he and I look so much alike, I cannot help but see the resemblance between Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones.
Madam Chair, if I could respond to Councilman Crandall, I believe the statement is God only created so many beautiful people, and the rest of them he gave hair to.
I love that.
Touche.
All right, members, thank you so much, and this concludes today's budget hearings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Be safe.
Madam Chair, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trying.
Thank you, Madam Chair.